Hello, Billy here. I am about to read from my book, How I Got on My Journey, starting with chapter 4. And this comes right after chapter 3, obviously, where I had gotten these amazing messages while I was 15 years old from what I thought was my imaginary friend, the American Indian. So here we go. 20 years later, 2 failed marriages, 2 children, and then one day it hit me. The big aha moment. There I was, relaxing on my bed, talking to my boyfriend. I was in my mid-30s. We had been dating for about a year at that point. He was tall, handsome, about 9 years younger than me, sweet and very loving. He was standing at my bedroom sliding door, enjoying the sun on his face and reminiscing about his father who had passed a few years ago. As he spoke of his past, I finally asked him, "So, what's your background anyway?" He replied, "Oh, I'm half Polish, quarter German, and quarter American Indian." What? I thought. That's when it hit me. He had a 5-year-old son from a former marriage. Not only that, my offspring was 15 at the time, and get this, her name is Tony. Tony is short for Anthony. Coincidence? I think not. This was the quarter Indian my Indian guide had told me about when I was 15. Oh my God, I thought. Everything my imaginary friend had told me at 15 came true, and exactly when he said it would. I could no longer deny the fact that there really are spirits that guide us. There really is something bigger out there. There really is a God. Maybe. More accurately, my words were, wow, this shit is real. I was shocked, relieved, and confused all at once. I was in shock, yet I was in awe. That was quite a tough pill to swallow, and I remember feeling like I was in a daze and yet happy for weeks afterwards. It truly was my aha moment. There really is something bigger than little old me. My problems seemed small all of a sudden. There were so many questions swimming in my head. There was confusion, and yet there was hope for the first time in my life. Just think, if you use my life as an example, that means that everything that ever happened to me was supposed to. If I hadn't gotten that second divorce, I would have never met my quarter American Indian. Everything in between, all 20 or so years of stuff, of trials and tribulations, the good and the bad, all were meant to be. Today, I'm thankful they all occurred. I'm grateful for the children, the amazing grandchildren that these 2 marriages produced. I'm grateful for all the gifts, all the things I learned about myself through those experiences. All of it. I wouldn't be who I am today without it. And in my book, I do give different parts where you can enter information because it's all about reflecting on your own life too. So even just imagine for a moment, imagine you could just make a list of the sequences of events in your life who kind of brought you to where you are today, because there really is no accident. So when you get a chance, try for yourself. And then when you look back at it, at this list, can you see the gifts from these occurrences? And if not, ask for the gifts to reveal themselves, and they will. Look back through the eyes of unconditional love, and you will see. Was it something you learned about yourself? That's the first thing that comes to mind. So that's the first exercise. Weeks after the big aha, one night, or early in the morning, I should say, you know those early morning hours where you have the deepest, most meaningful dreams? I woke with quite a dream. Or was it? In this dream, I was on vacation at Disney in Orlando. My boyfriend, my 2 kids who were in their teens at the time, and I had been planning on visiting my folks in Orlando. In the dream, we were skipping along the sidewalk, acting goofy and joyful. After all, we were in the happiest place on earth. Then we came up to the next ride or attraction, and it was my favorite, the Back to the Future ride. I remember my boyfriend opening the glass door for me. As I stepped in, I noticed a fog between the double doors and thought to myself, I don't remember them having this special effect, or even a double door. I moved forward through the next door, and suddenly I was inside a real Indian teepee. In front of me was an elder couple. I still felt as though I was holding my boyfriend's hand until I looked down to the right and noticed he wasn't there, and neither were the kids. Then I realized my Indian guide was standing to the right of the couple. That's when it hit me. This was no dream. This was a visit, a vision. I didn't even know what to call it. But it was happening. The elder gentleman or Indian chief spoke up. The time has come. Time has come? I thought. Time for what? I looked up at my Indian guide, Anthony, thought a second, and then said, Is this it? Is he the one? I suddenly got real excited, thinking maybe this was the sign that my current boyfriend was my soulmate and what I had hoped to find to fill the huge void in my heart. I noticed the elder woman suddenly look down. A definite no. I looked back up at Anthony, who in the meantime became very agitated, unlike I had ever seen him. He said, No, no, no. You don't understand. It's time to study. It's time to study. He then gave me a nudge, pulling me right up by my right shoulder, and I popped straight up out of my sleep into a sitting position and just stared across my room with my eyes wide open. I couldn't move for a few minutes. I was in shock. Study what? I finally asked. This time looking straight up to the heavens with my arms and hands open. Study what? Please help me. Please show me. This vision made me a little sad and left me feeling a bit like a failure at first. Here was my big moment, a meeting with the elders, a great crossing point or initiation in my life, and I flunked. I got it all wrong, but the point was made. I understood that without a shadow of doubt, something big was happening, and I had to do the work now to figure it all out. Heaven was counting on me. I sure didn't want to let my closest friend down. He was everything to me, always there for me all my life, even if I didn't realize he was real until now. I had to regain his confidence in me. Of course, realistically, our guides never judge us and are always there for us, loving us unconditionally. But this was still new to me, and I was now on a mission to find out what the heck was going on. From that point on, I began talking to the heavens above, asking for signs and assistance. I asked, where do I go from here? The following Christmas, I received books about American Indians and their beliefs and traditions, as well as other books and signs that began to lead me on my path. The next thing that occurred, the local public library advertised Reiki, and it caught my eye. Now I was open. I was a blank slate, especially because I had no religious background or training. I would, however, revisit those days of the Bible and other times through meditations, classes, and past life therapies, either by myself, in groups, or with clients as I became more and more experienced. I began to learn that all we need to do is ask. In universal truth, our guides cannot help us until we ask, because one of the most powerful laws of the universe is the law of free will. So if we want to remain miserable, Well, then that is our free will. And then, next exercise, I invite you to take a deep breath and simply release any holding on the exhale. Imagine feeling your body soften, letting go, and coming into center. Now think for a moment of a time when you last made a negative statement. What was that statement? What was the belief at the time? Now imagine your spirit guides surround you with their infinite love. What would you like them to assist you with? Rephrase the prior negative statement, turning it into a request. You can even end with, "Thank you for the most benevolent outcome." And I always recommend journaling these type of questions or experiences, because things will repeat in our heads over and over, and then writing it down, even if it's a question to yourself, your higher self, or the universe, now it frees your mind and it opens you up to receive the answers. So this is the end of chapter 4. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Stay tuned for chapter 5, Clearing the Path.